on, police! Show me your hands! Show me your hands! Shot! Shots fired! Shots fired! Where from? On the front!
This is the moment Chris Kaba, a 24-year-old rapper, was shot by police in South London. He was unarmed. Seconds later, his life was over. To many, he was just a young man, full of promise, about to become a father. But the story behind this moment is far more complex. Friends and family remember Chris as ambitious, creative, and vibrant. He was a 24-year-old aspiring rapper, a devoted family man, and on the verge of becoming a father. At this point, all we see is the tragedy: an unarmed man shot by police. It's easy to assume innocence, but the full story behind these headlines reveals a much more complex reality. But was Chris Kaba truly innocent? The answer is complicated, and the timeline of events leading to his death reveals a far more nuanced story. Chris Kaba is believed to be a member of notorious street gang 6-7 based in Brixton Hill. 6 days before his death, it was the 30th of August, 2022, the famous Notting Hill Carnival, and going in the early hours of the morning just before 4 a.m. he arrives at the Oval Space nightclub with 3 of his friends. Connell Bamboy, a music producer and 6-7 associate. Marcus Pottinger, valuable ally who previously worked at the club, breezed past security with a gun stashed in a bag. And Shemaiah Bell, who is also known as Bones due to his dog bone-shaped necklace and is also a member of 6-7 gang. CCTV shows them inhaling nitrous oxide in the queue. Inside the club, Kaba and Bamboy can be seen wearing balaclavas, dancing and ordering drinks. Kaba clocked a male called Brandon Malucci, a 25-years-old man who was believed to be a member of rival Gang 1-7 from Wandsworth Road. There is inaudible conversation among them, and then what happens on the floor is unbelievable. CCTV shows the moment when Kaba opened fire and the bullet hit Brandon Malucci's left leg. This created fear among fellow clubbers, and Brandon Malucci fled the club. Kaba chased him down the street and allegedly fired 3 more bullets, one of which pierces Malucci's right leg. Malucci collapsed on the pavement, and Chris Kaba is said to have left in a hired Range Rover. CCTV shows Malucci falling on the ground behind a car with blood pouring through his wounds. He ultimately survived the shooting and was taken to hospital. He discharged himself from the hospital and refused to cooperate with detectives. Chris Kaba's group had arrived at the club in a blue Audi Q8 that was driven by Shemaiah Bell, and the next day, Shemaiah Bell came back to collect the car and left it at Chris Kaba's home. Moving forward to the 4th of September, 2022, an ex-military man said he heard 2 distinct shots fired near a primary school in Brixton. A woman reported seeing 4 men wearing balaclavas exiting a vehicle. One had a very large shotgun stuffed down his trousers. Police officers were dispatched but could not find anyone who had been injured. No firearm was recovered either. 2 shotgun cartridges were found in a black Lexus. The suspects changed their clothes and escaped in 2 clean vehicles. A witness took down the number plate for one of the cars and alerted the police. That was a blue Audi Q8. The next day, Monday the 5th of September, 2022, Kaba visited his mother Helen and the pair had dinner. Kaba told his mother that he was going to see his friend and left in the blue Audi. Meanwhile, on the other side at 7 p.m. the firearm officers were briefed at the start of their 12-hour shift. They were told about the Brixton shooting and that the gun was still outstanding as well as the suspects. A firearm marker had been placed on the Audi Q8. There was intel to suggest that the rival Gang 1-7 was looking for 6-7 members to cause them harm. At 9:51 p.m. firearm officers in an unmarked silver Volvo with a code name Alpha spotted the blue Audi driving to them in Camberwell. They recognized the number plate from the briefing and updated the control room. At 9:55 p.m., a firearm incident was declared. The officers were unaware of the driver's identity at this time when they started the silent follow. Soon a marked police car Bravo and another marked police car Charlie joined the silent follow. An armed response unit code Foxtrot was stationed in Stetham Hill and ready to join the other units. Operational Firearm Commander, OFC, was in charge, who gave directions for stop with extraction. It was not difficult for Kaba to assess that he had been followed. At 9:57 p.m. he made a quick phone call to his friend. "Listen, 1 sec, I think they are behind me." Dashcam footage shows Kaba turning right off Brixton Hill onto New Park Road. He then quickly turned left into Kirkstall Gardens, where marked firearm unit Foxtrot including PC Martyn Blake and 2 colleagues were present.
There's a near-side indication onto Kirkstall Gardens.
By now, 6 police units and police helicopter with night vision ability had joined the tactical operation.
Here, it's in line.
There was no escape. One marksman got out of the unmarked Volvo and tried to open Audi's front passenger door, but it was locked. The dashcam shows the officer trying to striking the front door passenger window using the barrel of his semi-automatic to get a reaction from the driver. Chris Kaba was seen with his right arm on the steering wheel with left arm covering his head. Kaba tried to drive away through the tight gap between the marked police car and parked white Tesla but couldn't. Clear instructions were given: armed police, show us your hands. He reversed into the unmarked police Volvo. At 10:07 p.m., 2 marksmen raised their SIG Sauer semi-automatic carbines at the same second, but it was PC Blake who fired the bullet. That went through the windscreen and hit Kaba in the forehead. It was the first time PC Blake had fired at a suspect since joining the force in 2016. Kaba was taken to hospital where he died at 12:12 a.m. Met Police referred itself to IOPC, who sent investigators to the scene and opened a murder investigation against PC Blake for firing the fatal shot. Following the incident, PC Martyn Blake was initially suspended and later charged with murder. The case sent shockwaves through the police force. Some officers even handed in their firearms certificates, refusing to carry guns until the trial concluded. This wasn't a simple trial. Jury had 2 branches to consider. First, Chris Kaba and his associate shooting at the nightclub. Second, PC Blake's action amounting to murder of Chris Kaba. The trial lasted nearly 3 years. While family spokespeople and advocates called for justice for Chris Kaba, the jury was never presented with details of his nightclub shooting, gunpowder residue on Chris Kaba's sleeves, or prior convictions, all withheld to ensure a fair trial. The deliberation was painstaking, reflecting the challenge of weighing split-second police decisions against a backdrop of a complex criminal history. On October 21, 2024, PC Martyn Blake was acquitted of murder.
Trial of a Metropolitan Police firearms officer over shooting an unarmed black man, Chris Kaba, stirred up racial tension and a protest against the force when the officer was found not guilty of murder yesterday. Today we learn the jury had not been told about Mr. Kaba's links to gun crime. The trial judge lifted his ban on their mention. Allegations that Mr. Kaba had shot a gang rival in the legs at a nightclub 6 days earlier, that he may have been involved in another shooting the night before he was killed.
Whereas the 6-7 gang members received the following sentences for wounding with intent and possession of a firearm: Connell Bambay, 5 years and 6 months. Marcus Pottinger, 9 years. Shemaiah Belvebones, 10 years. Chris Kaba had a long history of violent crime with convictions dating back to when he was aged 13 for offences including stabbing with intent to cause grievous bodily harm, a knife-enabled gang assault when the victim was stabbed and had his arm broken, and 2 other knife offences. In 2015, when he was 17, Kaba was convicted of affray and possession of an offensive weapon over an incident in which a revolver-style handgun was recovered nearby. Kaba had been charged in 2018 with possessing an imitation firearm with intent to cause fear of violence in relation to an incident on the 30th of December, 2017. He was found guilty at Snaresbrook Crown Court in January 2019 and sentenced to 4 years in a Young Offenders Institute. He was released in 2020. In August 2020, Kaba was given a 5-month prison sentence for failing to stop and possession of a knife, which was discarded from a vehicle. Honourable Judge Simon Mayo went on to say if Chris Kaba had been alive, he would have also faced trial. The verdict sparked strong reactions. Within parts of the black community, anger and frustration were palpable. Yet, in the professional sphere, PC Blake was later promoted to Sergeant in Firearms Command, highlighting the ongoing tension between public perception and policing responsibilities. Chris Kaba's family maintain he was murdered by police because of his race, insisting he had done nothing wrong. The notorious Brixton Gang 6-7 released a tribute drill song for him. Was Chris Kaba a victim of police action, or a young man enmeshed in a dangerous lifestyle? The evidence leaves that question for you to decide.
Black people are the only people on this earth that get massacred, genocide, killed,
Our kids missing, organ harvesting, women trafficking, all of these fucking things happen to us.
Don't get so dumb while you're doing them whips. All you see is a flash like you just took a pic. Let me talk my shit, we got glees and scopes and the forces lit. Don't hang by the retro kitchen king. Same day I done I just flip my wrist. Quick flight out of hand and I gave it a twist. Don't get so dumb while you're doing them whips. All you see is a flash like you just took a pic. Let me talk my shit, we got glees and scopes and the forces lit. Don't hang by the retro kitchen king. Same day I done I just flip my wrist. Quick flight out of hand and I gave it a twist. Niggas chasing clout when there's money to make now. Too catty, you know I don't play around. I'm on quadruple jaws in town, done it in the should've seen laid out. Got banged in front of his dad, he saw 4K even when he got shaved down. I was pops if we play around, got crashed in front of the playground. Glued up to the tip, aren't trust shit, got a hip at gunpoint. She'll find out at some point, my party trick clear the room with one noise. In the we're just getting one boy, 3 ST and CD real gun boys. We really grease up nuts days, knife game, yes, plus we bullet up enough boys. Dinosaurs extinct when got caught.